pledge allegiance. Said I get a duel.
It's a test.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Ms. Handel.
Mayor
Here.
Dale Masson,
Here.
Vice Mayor Terrence Rowe,
Here.
Councilwoman Nancy Britton,
Here.
Councilwoman Jenny Sorrell,
Here.
Councilman William Dittmer,
Here.
City Attorney James Matthew,
Here.
City Manager Vincent Lupo.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. The general public, do I have anything, Ms. Anvil, for sign-ups? Tom Brown.
He's second.
Oh, thank you, buddy. David Gray.
I'm Dave Gray, and Pastor Leonard couldn't be here tonight, and Pastor Steve couldn't be here tonight, so you got a third stringer.
All right.
I hope that I can represent us well. I'm one of the co-founders of Volunteer Way several years back, and I just wanted to announce that this little town was host to putting out 9 million pounds of food last year for free to the people of this area. So thank you for hosting us and for allowing us to be that servant. Also, as the Christmas thing that we worked, some people want to call it holidays, excuse me, but it was, to us, it was a Christmas thing that we did, and we're happy to get to serve in that capacity and wanted to offer ourselves, if you're going to do anything around the Easter time, we'd be happy to know as far ahead of time as possible what part, if we can, play and how we can again help the city. Most cities are complaining about the fact that churches don't pay any property tax, they're just a bunch of leeches, but we really, really like to give back to whatever extent that we can. So if there's anything along with the, I've personally painted both of those bathrooms, okay, in both of those toilets up and down the coast here. So we do try to give back. And if we can be of any further help, we'd appreciate it. And also, when Nancy and I were running the World Relief, I was looking in the whole Tri-County area for police departments that would sign a memorandum of understanding so that we could resettle victims of human trafficking. The only people in the entire Tri-County area that would do that was Little Port Richey. And 2 of the first victims of human trafficking that were resettled in the Tampa Bay area were resettled right here. And thank you for that too. So I thought we'd start off with some nice stuff to say to the leadership.
I appreciate it, and believe me, the entire city appreciates your efforts. Thomas Brown.
Thomas Brown, 7436 Candlelight Court. It is good to see that we can afford the $253,000 consent agenda that will most likely get passed tonight. The state of Florida passed an act. The name of that act was the Community Redevelopment Act. The spirit and intent of the law was and is to provide funds for communities to improve the looks of or obliterate blight and slums within the community. I have ordered a copy of the act because I want to know when it was passed, what governor signed it, and is it considered Florida law. I will get back to you when I have received more information from Tallahassee. At the August 22nd City Council meeting, City Manager Lupo agreed to meet with county officials to discuss the repaving of Orange Grove Avenue. What was the result of that meeting?
I like to respond to you guys. Okay, first of all, the consent agenda, there's nothing we can't pay.
It's good, we can pay that.
We have no choice.
I like that.
Okay. Now, as far as your meeting with, I'm still all the way with you on Orange Grove. Did you have?
It'll be part of my forthcoming report, Mayor.
It's coming up right after this break. Okay. We have Mr. City Manager.
Yes, Council. The very first item would be a resolution, and for the City of Port Richey, would like to commend the Bay Area Legal Services for its 50 years and dedicated services. City Attorney,
Want me to read it?
please.
Resolution 18-01, a resolution of the City of Port Richey commending Bay Area Legal Services for its 50 years of dedicated services. Whereas the City of Port Richey Council is pleased to recognize Bay Area Legal Services on the occasion of the commencement of the Major General Ernest A. and Marilyn Bedke Veterans Law Center Initiative, the opening of its new Pasco County office on Little Road, and its 50th anniversary of providing high-quality civil legal assistance to low-income people. And whereas beginning with 4 lawyers working out of a neighborhood storefront office in 1967, Bay Area Legal Services has grown to a staff of more than 100 attorneys, paralegals, and other employees with locations throughout the Tampa Bay region, including the West Pasco office. And whereas this nonprofit public interest law firm has helped secure justice for tens of thousands of low-income individuals, families, and community groups, the organization has also specialized programs to assist foster children, domestic violence survivors, and veterans. And whereas in 2016 alone, Bay Area Legal Services provided services to more than 17,600 individuals, families, and groups, and answered more than 60,000 calls through its centralized telephone intake system. The organization has closed approximately 331 cases representing the residents of Port Richey in 2017. And whereas by providing those in need with access to justice, Bay Area Legal Services helps make our community stronger and safer. Now therefore be it resolved by the City of Port Richey City Council that the City of Port Richey, Florida does hereby commend Bay Area Legal Service for its 50 years of dedicated service and wishes it many more years of success. I'd just like to add, so when you have people get in criminal matters get appointed, the public defender, well, in civil matters, this is the only group representing totally indigent individuals in Pasco County and specifically in Port Richey. Dan, do you want to?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Dion Blasey. I'm a private attorney. I've been in Newport Richey for 24 years. And during that time, and this is Kathy Logue, my colleague as well, who has been a JAG officer attorney. And so that is her background. She also worked with Bay Area. We are really planning during this 50th year to begin an initiative specifically targeting veterans. We have very vulnerable veterans in our society at this time. So this is a movement that we would like to bring forward. And that's why I'm here and ask you to approve the proclamation, and thank you very much for doing so. I have brochures about Bay Area if you don't know about them. I'd be more than happy to give them to each of you.
Let's give them to our.
Should give them to the clerk and she'll distribute them for us.
And then the rest of those, I hope that she gives to the police department or whoever is even at the utility desks and so forth, and they'll be able to give those out, and I'm happy to bring more anytime. So I want to thank you for your attention to this matter.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
We
Motion.
voted on it last time. Yeah,
We need a motion.
No, we've already approved it.
last time.
Yes.
So we did motion.
Yes, just a matter of presenting.
Right.
Yes.
You're on.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, approximately,
I didn't miss anybody out there, did I? Oh, okay. Matt, Todd. I don't always get all of them.
5113 Mallard Drive, Matthew Todd. I wanted to thank you guys, city manager, mayor, and council on addressing the problem with the trash over there. Can't thank you all enough. Great job, Chris, guys, cleaning everything up. It looks great. I know you can only do but so much because the kids throwing the trash out there. You know, I apologize for coming up here last time being upset, but I take pride in the community where I live. We have a lot of decent residents. And the only other thing is I asked, when you guys are making decisions on purchasing and buying things, this community, everybody needs to come together. Our friends in Sand Pebble and our friends in Candlelight. they need paving and candlelight, and the people out in Sand Pebble, they need the rocks removed from their channel. Any way that I can assist you guys, whether it's money, donation, equipment, I would like to do that. Because I think we have a great city, and the people need to come together, and the new council that we have, putting everything in place, and our police chief, you guys are great, and you're going down the right track. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Council, and our public, approximately 6 months ago, after great notoriety, we were tasked with a supposed problem that existed in our police department. Council directed and I contacted the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. They conducted a 6-month exhaustive examination, interviewed over a dozen individuals under oath, and eventually came to a conclusion that was shared with the Office of the State Attorney of the 6th Judicial Circuit Court of Florida for Pasco and Pinellas County. And both the Office of the State Attorney and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement concluded that the case was closed, that there was no need for further investigation. This took up approximately 6 months of their time. It took up staff time, but in the final analysis, both after this exhaustive investigation and after concurrence with the state's attorney's office, the conclusion was simple. There was no action that would be contemplated by either FDLE or the state's attorney's office. And that piece of journalism is now closed.
And that is public information?
Yes, it is, sir.
Could I request a copy be sent to Noah Pransky?
Mr. Pransky already attained a copy from the Public Information Act.
I don't want to step on your timing here, but I would invite Mr. Pransky to share with due diligence as he did before to get back on the air and state the outcome and that his presumptions were false, and apologize to the people that he caused pain in this city, especially our police department, who has done an outstanding job. And this is a problem when people go off half-shod without true information. I welcome those results. I'm glad they're done, but I'm very, very upset that it took this much to clear it up, and that, you know, now the cast the aspersions on our police department that, you know, people saw that. Now they need to see and hear from Mr. Pransky that this was a mistake, and I don't think we'll get it.
Mr. Mayor and Council, if I might. Ms. Martinez, would you distribute this? At the request of Council, we put together a City of Port Richey project list for 2018, and we've divided it among the various sections of our operation, and it outlines some of the projects that are ongoing within the community. This document will also become public, and we'll be putting it on the website. We'll be transmitting it through media so that the general public can begin to understand the complexity of our government and what we are doing to implement the wishes of the public as voiced through their elected officials. Under the Administrative Department, we are working with the Restore Act, which has already completed through that act the dredging of Channel 19 and the construction of an operating DMMA site. We will now be moving forward with the dredging of Channels 1 and 18, which we hope to have completed by 2020. One of the other issues under the administrative department is rate studies. As you will recall, council agreed to reduce the rates. In fact, not reduce them, but to not enforce new rates for our water and utilities, our water rates. So we did not increase the rates 4%. Council saw fit not to do that. Plus, we managed to digest a 4% increase on water that was then being supplied to us. And I have a further report for council concerning our water production and distribution. So that I'm looking to very shortly come back before this council and request that we conduct another rate analysis of our entire water utilities operation, so that hopefully council may concur with recommendations to reduce, I'll repeat that again, so that council in their wisdom can reduce the water rates charged to our city. Also, with respect to rate studies, we intend to re-examine the rates and fees charged by our building department. It is absolutely essential that both the utilities department and the building department produce the correct amount of rates and fees that are involved. We want to ensure that we recuperate the funds that we spend, but at the same time not overcharge nor undercharge for the services provided. With respect to Orange Grove Avenue and Candlelight Court, I've reached out to the county administrator and will be meeting with the county administrator to discuss the exact same issues that were brought forward by the residents of Candlelight Court, by the mayor and council with respect to repaving of that area. And at that point in time, as soon as I meet with the county administrator, I will come back to council with a full detailed report with our recommendations and suggestions. We are in the process of recodification of the city codes. There are issues with respect to our codes that have to be slightly adjusted and sent through the recodification process. That's ongoing. We have increased the use of the Nixle system, which is the system to send out general messages, and we will be increasing that. That's also ongoing. We have begun already the planning of the 4th of July and other significant events for the city. That's already ongoing. With respect to the building department, we have the opening of Walgreens coming up in 2018, February. We have the opening of Whiskey Joe's, also scheduled for the opening in February of 2018. We have a beautification of US 19 medium through several grants that the building department is undertaking, and we believe that should be completed by 2020. There will be quite a bit of input between now and then. Mr. Muse has been working diligently with the authorities with respect to this issue, both county and state. We are in the process of developing, they are in the process of developing a residential reimbursement grant program. This has been sorely needed in our community. As I've spoken earlier, the grant will be a matching grant. The flesh and bones are still being put on that program to assist individuals to do special kinds of repairs to their property, their house, owner-occupied residences. We've been with Mr. Muse and the building department has been meeting with FDOT to continue the hike and bike issue and to go underneath 19. And I must say Mr. Muse has had very successful conversations and meetings with those individuals. So that project is ongoing. We are about to undertake, I'll be coming to council to ask to go forward with a traffic analysis for the waterfront overlay district or the arts district, because that's going to be absolutely essential, given the opening of Whiskey Joe's and the modifications that are to that area that are anticipated by Gill Dogs, Hooters, and the other establishments there. Abigail Court has been completed. That's on Washington Street. There's some minor adjustments that they're making, but all in all, that's a approximately 90-unit complex that has been completed and will be on the books. We have upcoming discussions about the development of Avila Bay, and that is an approximate 125-unit operation. There is now new discussions concerning the possibility of the Snug Cove project coming back online, which is approximately 110 units.
Where is that located in?
Snug Cove is off of
Boulevard?
Bay Boulevard, to on the right-hand side as you go out towards Sand Pebble. Along with that is some discussion about the Vacara Bay project, also coming forward, and that is another 100+ units. Now,
Is that by Walmart?
No, yeah, that is directly alongside. No, it's out by Snug Cove, no, one further out.
Okay.
You're beginning to work around some of the necessities that the community has with respect to new impact fees, proper fees being charged, proper assessments, and that's part and parcel of the entire operation. There's discussions with the owner of Gill Dogs for his potential expansion. He has several ideas that he intends to proffer forward, and I wish him every possible success. There's a new residential construction that's underway on Deidre Circle, and there is still talk in the wings of a revitalization of the off and on again Cody housing project on Washington Street. So those are issues all within the realm of the building department. With respect to the fire department, we've had some recent problems with engine number 42, and those repairs are currently undertaken. And we have also completed the acquisition of much needed brush gear that's required by the fire department. With respect to the police department, the first issue, and which is also on the agenda today, is the update of our police fleet issue. That's ongoing and will be discussed here today. We have updated and ongoing equipment updates to protect our police officers, vests and other accoutrements. We have an ongoing collaboration with Pasco County and other entities with respect to drug activity and drug enforcement. And we're in the process of always soliciting qualified new officers when the opportunity arises. With respect to our Public Works Department, we're in the process of moving forward with the FERDAP improvements to the waterfront park. That's an ongoing project. As you will recall, we have several grants with respect to that, and that will be moving forward. We are anticipating additional improvements to Brasher Park. We've gone out and we've done some repainting of the facilities out there, and I think you'll see it much brighter and more attractive. And we are in the process of the rehabilitation of the Nix Park boat ramp. And that is an ongoing process, and that is also part of a grant that we've received. We are in the process of purchasing and that again we coming before council today, a modular unit for the Public Works and Utilities operation. Right now, the structure that they have been utilizing, and we have all the documents, we'll present them to council, of a unit that's absolutely condemned and cannot be even entered. That's how bad it is. And we'll discuss that further shortly. We are in the process of installing, investigating the installation of new sidewalks. Those sidewalks will be in an addition to the project on Washington Street, and it will, of Abigail Court. It will go from Washington Street down River Gulf to Grand Boulevard. It'll make a right-hand turn on Grand Boulevard and go all the way down to 19. And that will allow access to the bus outlets on US 19. It'll also incorporate the utilization of an extension of the bike and hike trail, and will be hopefully be able to use golf carts in that area now. In addition to that, we are because of the ongoing potential for new construction, new housing construction, we are looking at the installation of a new street. That new street would be an extension of Ritchie Drive, from Ritchie Drive all the way to Old Post. That will also incorporate an extension of the bike and hike trail and an extension of the utilization of the golf carts. But it will also be a major accoutrement for the oncoming redevelopment that's going to be occurring out in that area. And of course, ongoing projects, we have repairs to our drainage system, which again is ongoing. The Utilities Department. I will be giving a further report to council very shortly on our decreased reliance on bulk water purchases. And I will be telling council and general public that as of the last 3 months, we have purchased no outside water. We have produced all of our own water and distributed all of our own water. So we have an improved water recovery operation, and I have complete documentation I'll be presenting to council to show council what I'm referring to and the rationale behind our better water production, better water quality, and reduced reliance on the acquisition or purchase of water. And with respect to the better quality of water, that's always an ongoing process with respect to our water filtration operations. And we've reduced water quality complaints from over 300 to less than 4 a month. And we intend to drive that number as far down as possible. And that, council and general public, is a quick overview of the activities that the city is undertaking. Many of these activities are supplemented by various grants that we have been able to receive. We continue to look for more grants. It is also possible because of council's determination to keep costs down as best as possible and to better utilize the systems and personnel that we have. Despite some of the noises you may have heard in the background, it is because we've been able to save money that council has been able to approve many of these projects to the benefit of our community. And this is only the beginning. Now, this, if we can distribute some of these, please. I spoke a little earlier about our reduction of dependence on acquired water. This is a picture of an overflow pond that was water that was sent from our filters, so-called filters at the time, amassed in this quote-unquote overflow pond, spilling over into the driveway, down the road, down the street, completely flooded. And if you can see an aerator in there, what was supposedly meant to help dissipate the water. Pure bunk nonsense. It occurred because the dehydration plant was abandoned completely, which is not true today. This is what that same pond looks like today, and it would have been even lower except for the rain that we had last night. This represents a monumental leap from here to here. It represents the recapturing of wasted water. This water is then filtered and sent back through settlement, filtered through settlement, sent back to our filters and recaptured. The sediment is then dehydrated and shipped off. This represents a flow chart indicating the years 2015, 2016, 2017, and current. It represents our water production, our water purchase, and our backwash or wasted water. This is where we're at today. You'll notice no purchased water, all recaptured water. That goes back into our system. That's water that we don't have to purchase. And this is the last 3 months' production. Again, no water purchases at all. So our water production and distribution system is up and running and working exceptionally well. Exceptionally well, and using the word well is no pun intended, but it is operating the way we would hope it would work, and we're still fine-tuning the system, but we're on the road to complete recovery.
Well, I applaud you, Mr. Lupo.
Actually, it's the work of our utilities department.
Do we still have the water company in there?
No, no longer. We phased them out. The only other item that I have, actually, is a discussion that some of our council people brought forward, and that has to do with opioid abuse. It's no secret that it is a tremendous problem in the country, in this state, and in Pasco County. And I would say, unfortunately, most likely in our city. I have requested through our city attorney that Attorney Jeff Lucas come to council on its next council meeting to discuss what is occurring with the suit against the pharmaceutical firms with respect to opioid production. And I would hope that after he explains the issue to council, council might join in with our opposition and of the flood of opioids coming to our community.
It would be good just to be able to join into the class action suit. that's
Exactly.
going on
That's
there.
exactly the direction I would hope that we would take. I would like to be proactive, our council to be proactive on this issue.
That's important.
And that, council and ladies and gentlemen, is the city manager's report.
Okay, I'm bringing it to council. Just FYI, at Jim's request, I already told Mr. Lucas that we were in, and I'm sure they all agree with us. We'll have the vote. But we were the first city in Pasco County that joined, thanks to Mr. Matthew. So do you have something to say, Nancy?
Not about that, no.
Well, anything you want, this council now.
Well, I just wanted to, real quick, just see if the council approves of having Pastor Leonard Lord and the Light of the World Tabernacle and Jerry and the whole group do the Easter egg hunt like they've done for the last couple of years at the park for Easter Sunday or whenever they want to do it. I've gotten so many compliments on what they've done up there, so I just want to see if the council's in favor of that, so we can give them notice ahead of time. Because I think Mr. Gray was asking us for that early on. Right, David?
I think it's kind of a tradition now, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, I just,
Do you want a motion and vote?
make a motion.
motion to allow Leonard Lord and his group to go forward with the Easter egg hunt as usual in the city of Port Richey at Waterfront Park.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There you go.
Okay, did you have any more, Terry? Well,
I think this update is fantastic. Gonna kill some of your old
I
news
know.
stuff, but
I'm not gonna have
cutting into
anything
your
to say
time.
anymore.
I was gonna say,
It's a
I had
terrible
a
way to
sheet
keep
here.
you quiet.
and I was gonna give you a pep talk. You took all the wind out of my sails because you touched on everything was on this sheet.
This is good.
Yes.
And
Great going.
I will tell council and the general public that this is just not a one-event deal. This will be fairly regular before council. I don't want to belabor council's time nor the general public's time, but it will be updated regularly, both before council and on our media, so that you'll be able to look at it. And if you have any questions, you'll be able to bring it back to either us or council at any time you choose.
What was I gonna add? Oh, one thing I thought maybe we should talk about for the new year is the Rito Drive property. We had someone interested in it, I think sometime a year ago or longer. I think it makes sense to put that up on the market, and let's see if we can't get rid of it. It's doing us no good. It's sitting there, it's just money
We're
that
on
the
the
city is.
You're a mind reader, sir. The city attorney, we have put it on the market. The city attorney and I were out there this afternoon taking a hard look at that property, and we were discussing ways that we will, to improve that property with respect to a better resale value. We've discovered some issues that we probably can take care of, but it is on the market, and we will move forward with its disposition.
Is that the property we have sand on?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, ma'am.
Oh, God.
I wanted to make a beach out of it.
The sand isn't doable for that. We thought, it was thought at one
We thought
time.
we could sell it. We went into.
No, you went into a
How many-
borrow, you established a minor borrow pit is what you established. But the sand is not capable of renourishment. We were hoping it would be useful for Brasher Park, I'm sorry, for Olsner Park, but it's not really.
Well, according to the paper, Sunwest Mines is in a little bit of trouble. It's not being cared for in the way the county was caring for it. Now the county may be taking it back. I wonder if that sand would be appropriate for them just to take.
We'll take a hard look at it, but I have a meeting coming up with the county administrator, and that's one of the issues that I'll be discussing with him.
I was told that it is not quite beach sand, but it's close. Now that you let him fly, I'm not gonna let you fly. Have we put out the Restore Act RFPs for 1 and 18?
No, we have not put out the Restore Act for 1 and 18. We are meeting with, in fact, we had a conversation, our attorney had a conversation with Restore Act people to ensure that what we put out is lawful with respect to the requirements of the Restore Act. And that conversation was held this afternoon also. So we have not gone forward, but we have given instructions to our engineer of record, Dewberry, to come forward with the documents necessary, and we will transmit them to the appropriate authorities. And we are assured that the timeline will not be exacerbated by this action.
Okay, so,
So it is in process, sir.
all right, so Restore Act channels are good. I have some serious problems with Snug Cove and Vaquera Bay. We're adding 210 units, which if you just say 2 people per unit, that's 400 going up and down Bay Boulevard. I know we've talked about the one little street.
Yes, sir. That is part and parcel of the request that I had talked about a little earlier, and that has to do with the traffic analysis of not only the WOD, but also of the Bay Boulevard and this extension. Again, these projects are being discussed at this point in time. Other than the one project, we have not had any hard information, just requests for meeting, which is indicative of their desire to move forward. So Lanier is pretty aggressive at this stage with moving forward with the project Avila Bay. And that is the reason why I discussed earlier the extension of Ritchie Drive would assist that. But within that construction and the potential construction, that will be coming back to council for council's consideration on many of the issues and discussions, because some of these older projects have modifications that will require council's input. And along with that would be general public input.
Is there any wiggle room on Bay Boulevard? Bay Boulevard is dangerous now.
That would be part and parcel of the traffic analysis conducted. There are several different issues with respect to that. With respect to the one project alone, there would be the necessity to add another lift station. There are other drainage issues, so there are a whole host of issues that will be coalescing into a project.
Okay. I notice we're buying new vests and weapons. How often do weapons go out? I had one for a long time. I want my
The
gun.
story is I think, what is it, how does that saying go? A man can never have enough money or enough weapons or something like that.
No bullets, anyway.
Or bullets, okay. What we have upgraded are the vests that our police officers wear, because many of them were outdated and no longer viable for protection. I mean, they just simply are outdated. So they have been updated. With respect to weapons, there are new officers who have come on board. We had to purchase new weapons for the officers. So basically,
We
it's
have to
minimum.
purchase their weapons.
We purchased a weapon for an officer since he is our officer, and it has to be a uniform weapon. Can't carry 45s or 38s. It has to be a specific weapon.
Do the,
Okay. Do we have a weapon of choice?
Yes, we do have a weapon of choice. Glock, isn't it? The Glock.
What do we-
9mm.
Glock 40 or
The
9?
Glock 40, the 40
40.
caliber.
Agreed, okay.
do those vests keep them from getting like, big arsenal guns, like, that some of these?
There are inserts to some of the vests that are special inserts. It becomes a balance between weight and heat retention versus safety. So that's the limiter. They will be protected from most weapons generally available. They're not going to be, there are some specific weapons that will defeat the vests. I'm not going to go through, I know them, I'm not going to go through name them.
Don't publicize.
I don't feel like publicizing, but this will protect our officers at a fair degree of balance between what they will wear and will not wear, even though I make it mandatory, and I do. And as is well known by all of our officers, every time I bump into one of them, I tap them on the chest to make sure they're wearing
I do the same thing.
Absolutely. It's critical that we take care of our officers.
Well, Jack Bauer never wore one that I remember.
Okay.
Let me go. Now, this new officers thing. Chief, are we still developing a
Yes, we are. We're working on the
volunteer
reserves.
third
We're
tier?
working on them. Yes, we are.
Okay.
It's a work in progress.
Volunteer service is absolutely paramount in order to keep our overtime costs down, and that's one of the driving efforts in it. And the chief is working diligently to assure that we do have a volunteer service, but incorporated in getting that volunteer operation is part and parcel of vests, clothing, weapons, et cetera. So it becomes parallel endeavor.
If we're hiring volunteer officers that don't have a pistol, it's kind of sad.
Okay.
And I thought we had all agreed that we're gonna have 2 shifts and a volunteer third shift.
That's an entirely different operation. The chief and I are discussing the most efficient way to operate that police department, whether it's on 1 shift, 2 shift, 3 shifts. Manpower within is completely within his purview, and we're finalizing that now. But part of that problem was the manpower at the time was lacking, so that we could not have the kind of shifts that we're trying to work out now. But the chief and I are working on that also.
Okay. New sidewalk, I know where you're talking from. Where is that money coming from?
It is coming from, for new construction, pennies for Pasco. No, I'm sorry, transportation impact fees.
Okay, so
Transportation impact fees.
that money and the new street installation money all has to be used for,
Only can be
that.
used for new.
Okay.
New, and this has to do with some of the questions brought, and I haven't forgot Mr. Stallheim. Mr. Stallheim's request to repair some of our sidewalks. That'll be a future budget discussion with this coming budget year before council. But with respect to this, it can only be used for new sidewalks, and the money can only be used for new streets. So that's where the money's coming from, sir.
all right? Anyone else? Okay, I'm through with you. You can maybe excuse.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, guys. Consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Council business. Okay, we got second reading, Mr. Matthew.
Yes, sir. This is the second reading by title only, ordinance number 17-659, an ordinance of the city of Port Richey, Florida, vacating a portion of a certain street known as Boulevard Street of the city of Port Richey, providing for severability conflicts and effective date. Looking for a motion.
Motion to approve 17-659, vacation of right-of-way.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Okay, police impound vehicles to be declared as surplus for auction. I'm just about, I know we're not getting what we can get out of the vehicle. And it may, and I'm just saying our costs. There needs to be a new system, and I just think that's without any question. I would even go so far as Bill Gregoire, who runs Newport Richey's fleet, would probably take that on as a part-time, very easy job, and he knows what he's doing. Right now, you know, from back to Tom O'Neill told me, oh, well, they take them to Tampa for free. That is, nothing's free. They're not taking 25 cars over there for free. So I just want to keep looking for, they don't have to leave that back office there. Auction them off. I'll auction them off.
If I might, Mayor,
Please.
I-
And I want to say this, we're trying to stay away from that because of this FDLE crap, that we are clean. This police department is clean. There's no reason that we have to do anything any other way.
aside from any FDLE considerations or what has gone on in the past, and I honestly am not concerned with what has gone on in the past, because that's a different administration, a different organization, a completely different operation. I am concerned with what is occurring today. When I arrived here, I had a police chief by the name of Rob Lovering who went through this entire process. And I have now a police chief by the name of Gerald DeCanio who has gone through this entire process. I've had the good fortune to sit down with Mr. Gregoire. I have had the opportunity to discuss this issue from many different aspects. And as it operates today, it is given our constraints for our small community and the small amounts that we're doing, it is, at this point in time, the most cost-effective way to operate. And I'll let the chief speak to the issues. We have the stats and the forms to show that. Obviously, if you were attempting to do this in-house, the surface appearances would be that we'd be making more money. But involved in that are a whole series of costs that we do not bear now. Those costs are not just simply the mathematical cost of titles, and it is the time that's involved by an individual who we are paying, who could be utilized in a different manner. Chief, if you want to pick up and speak to the issue.
Well, first and foremost, we don't impound vehicles to make money off them. We
Right.
impound them because of a criminal activity. The vehicle's not supposed to be on the road, it's not insured, the driver is suspended and not supposed to be driving the car. Now, when the vehicle sits here a predetermined amount of time, then it's not picked up, then we send it out to auction. But right now, we're recouping our costs and a little bit more. The other processes, and I've sat with Bill Gregoire, the other processes require more manpower and more man-hours. They have to be put on the web, the photos have to be uploaded, and it's similar to eBay. When you start the bid on these vehicles, somebody has to watch the bid. And then when it reaches your cutoff, or somebody wins the vehicle, then you have to process it. Now, the way it's done with Newport Richey, the city clerk goes and retitles every one of those vehicles in the city. And that's another cost, $50, $60, I believe. So that process, while maybe it makes them a little bit more money, they have more manpower hours invested in it as well.
You don't think we have anybody that's just got a little time to take VIN numbers, a few pictures? So, just a thought. Okay, that's 12 cars. You want to declare them surplus or make a reef?
Motion to approve declaring
Still
surplus.
want a reef.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, here we go
What
again.
is it? Nay. Change my vote. I'm not in favor of that. Okay, what did you say? Want to speak to that, Nancy?
Okay.
Okay, where am I? My agenda. Purchase of police vehicles. Mr. Lupo made that real long, so we have to look at it too hard.
Council, if it may please you, attached for your review is the recommendation by staff. Staff recommends approval of the cost proposal from Duval Ford for the purchase of two 2018 Ford Interceptors and associated equipment from Dana Safety Supply for a total cost of $93,935.08 for the police department. The city intends to utilize the Florida Sheriff's Association's contract number FSA 17-VEL 25.0, for the purchase of these vehicles. The city intends to utilize the City of Tallahassee's contract number 1489, and the City of Tampa's contract 02-18 to purchase equipment for the two vehicles. Funds for this item are budgeted in the confiscation fund number 12021-649, and pennies for Pasco. Now, we itemized and listed these specific contracts to assure you and the general public that we're not going next door to Harry's Ford dealerships and making some kind of special deal with them. These are off of state bidding documents and contracts. They're used, as you can see, by the City of Tallahassee, City of Tampa, City of Zephyr Hills, City of Dade City. anywhere where these purchases are taking place. The funds are coming from two special places. One is from a return of the funds from confiscated vehicles, and also from Penny for Pasco. Now, Penny for Pasco funds is something that we utilize, because eventually, if they're not, we're going to have problems if we don't utilize those funds. We discussed
Which funds are you talking about?
Penny for Pasco.
Okay.
We've discussed this general issue sometime earlier. This community has shown a calloused view towards modernizing its fleet in any form or shape. It has relied on the forbearance of the individuals utilizing the equipment and maintaining the equipment in order to continue operating that equipment. But there is a point in time when it's no longer cost effective to operate a vehicle. We can show you, more than happily show you, the costs of a 2006 Ford Crown Vic, $13,463 in repairs. A 2007 Dodge, $13,394 in repairs. A 2010 Dodge, $8,941 in repairs. So, and on and on. Everyone who has an older car understands that there's a point in time when you have to replace that, and you're going to have to pinch pennies or do what you have to do. This city is moving in a very specific direction, as evidenced by all of that we spoke earlier. We're not poor. We're not rich, and our financial prospects are good. And as stated to the general public and to this council by our accountants, we're in some of the best position we've been in some time. The savings that we're amassing have allowed this council the ability to consider items like this. If we had purchased these vehicles in the last year, you would not have to purchase them this year. But sooner or later, you're going to have to face the facts that we have to upgrade the fleet. You must do it if you want to keep these cars on the road. And the only way we can do that is to maintain them to the best of our ability, and we do. They have general maintenance schedules presented to some of our council people earlier when they had questions about maintenance and what was going on. So we are to the point now where staff has done the best it could with what it has. And either we bite the bullet, so to speak, and make the adjustment and add to the fleet, bringing in the new and dropping out the old, we're going to just pay more and more money to potentially keep unreliable vehicles on the road. And no one in this audience and no one out there is going to want to pick up the phone and make a phone call in desperation and that vehicle not working. It's a consideration that you all have when you decided to have a city with a police department, a responsive police department and responsive fire department who have excellent call records. So I know I'm long-winded now and I'm beating a subject. I don't mean to try and beat a subject to the death. I'm just trying to simply explain what the necessities are. And they are the simple facts, as you know every day in your own life. You got to fix it, and if you can't fix it anymore, you got to get rid of it and get something new, no matter how tight that budget is.
Mr. Lupo, did we get those sheets of those cars?
Yeah, you should have gotten one.
Is it in here?
No, it was passed out. We just had it made. It was passed out, sir. We just had it done.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's my main problem, and it's been a problem. that I brought up before, is that we get bulk, which I think this is a little overkill. What we really need to know is what we're replacing, how many miles it has, how many hours are on it, what the problems are. Because that's what I have to go back to the constituents and tell them why we bought a car. I also question the vehicles we're buying because I've looked at some of the other cities. They don't buy all the bells and whistles we're buying on this one. We could probably save $5,000 to $6,000 a piece. Now, that doesn't sound a lot. And I know it's penny per Pasco, but penny for Pasco can also be used for sidewalks. It can also be used for street paving. It can be used for other things too. So I would like to see us get these police cars. I don't want these people operating in substandard equipment. But at the same time, I think, you know, I'm looking at this thing and I'm seeing they have to change a whole grill to put more lights on it. Well, I've looked at some of these police lights when they're at a scene, and it's almost too much. And for people that have Mears disease and other problems, they freak out when they see these lights. They can't even look at them. And I know Bill Guegrive's wife, we have 2 in the city I know of that have Mears disease. It's not an uncommon thing. But I just think it's a little overkill. I think we could price these things down a little bit, save a little money. That would make citizens happier. We could do more with that penny for Pasco, as well as getting new wheels underneath our police.
Well, what we've added into this quote is approximately $4,000, and that's for vehicle maintenance. So instead of putting out, we have one vehicle here that we've spent $16,000 in repairs over the life of the vehicle. It's still on the road with almost 100,000 miles on it. So with this quote, we've added $4,000 for extended warranty, and which will be 75,000 miles over 5 years, and the premium maintenance package, 75,000 miles, 5 years, with 0 deductible. In that, the only thing that the city will be responsible for is changing the tires. Everything else is covered. So you'll pay the $4,000 built into the price of the vehicle, but you won't spend $16,000 over the course of the life of the vehicle. We're at some of these vehicles that we still have on the road are half the price of a brand new vehicle in repairs. The Dodge Chargers just did not hold up, and we have 8 of them. We have to look at down the road getting rid of all of them. So we built in the repair and the maintenance packages. That's what brings the price of the vehicle up $4,000. But you'll pay the $4,000 up front instead of $16,000 over the life of the vehicle. So that kicked it up a little bit.
Can you enlighten us as to what cars we're replacing and what the status of them are?
We're gonna, when the new cars are approved and in, we're gonna look at the worst cars here for the repairs. I would like to get rid of the one that's $16,000 in repairs. I'd like to get rid of that. And there's another one that's got in around a $12,000, $13,000 area. I'd like to get rid of those, the ones that have cost us the most money so far.
And whatever the return value of that is will be
Right.
added back into the general budget.
And then with some of these now, some of the repairs, we've got a new engine in one of these cars. That's what brought the price of the repairs up. We're not gonna get rid of that. It's got a new engine. So we're gonna have to look at what's been repaired. There's some front-end issues that we're still addressing on the Dodgers. I'm not getting anything fixed, unless it's an emergency, obviously, until the new cars come in and we can go down the repair list and see what has been repaired, replaced, and what's a viable vehicle. But the Dodgers have killed us.
Why are the cars only lasting to 100,000 miles today? There are so many cars out there. People are getting 350,000 miles
You're right.
on
But
their vehicles.
when these vehicles start them up in the morning because of the power inverters, the computer, the printer, when they start the vehicles in the morning or the beginning of their shift, there's times where they don't turn them off. So you've got, the mileage doesn't sound very high, but the hours on the engine, and then, you know, we drive these things into floods. We drive them down to when we have the floods, the storms. You're driving them through brackish water. You drive, so there's salt water on the body. And so it's just, they're used pretty hard, you know.
If you take a look at any time that you pass an officer who's pulled over somebody, or you'll see that the car is still running. And that's part and parcel of the nature of the beast. It runs in order to keep the various equipment powered, including the lights flashing so no one runs into them. and it adds to wear and tear on the vehicle. So it becomes an additional factor with respect to wear and tear, to the point where, as the chief just said, one of them required a brand-new engine.
Well, you know, I hate to say this, but my car for doing marketing ran 8 hours to 10 hours a day. And it's still running past 100,000 miles. So that's, I mean, I understand the sitting and whatnot, because I leave an office and I have to write notes, I have to do this, I have to do that, then I go to the next place, and my car doesn't stop all summer long because it's hot out.
Right.
So I don't know, it just, the 100,000 miles, even with it running.
But it's a factor of repairs. Now, there's no question, if you ask any law enforcement agency, I would say, I won't say the country, but at least in this state, about the Dodge Chargers, they just go crazy because there are bad news from day one. And these vehicles were purchased back in 2010, the ones that we
I
have.
remember when they were all purchased.
Right,
And
they
the
are
guys
the-
were so excited because they were
Unlike the,
souped-up cars,
unlike the
black and
Crown,
red and-
unlike the, well, that's different kinds of trappings, but unlike the Crown Victorias that Ford had, they're workhorses. You see them running around as taxi cabs. But when you have a fleet here that has almost 7 Dodges, and they're all killers, and the repair costs bear it out. And that's part and parcel of the problem. It was a selection made 7, 8 years ago that we're paying for it today.
You know, you know, if you look at your individual vehicles, eventually you have to change them out. This is the way it is.
That's exactly right.
Well, there's no doubt about that. I think Terry has a point. I don't know what all these, did we ever just bid it through a dealer and say, this is what we want? If these packages from the government are from the government, they're generally too high. Everything in my political career says we get fleeced.
Mayor, I can only tell you that we are following the law with respect to purchases.
But you can purchase it from any place.
No, I beg to disagree with you.
Well, that's what I'm learning.
You cannot purchase it from around the corner. It just doesn't work that way. They have to be, the vehicles have to be certified. Go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, if I can. They can't afford to sell those cars at this contract price. Some of the base price that's the Ford Explorer, and I think it starts at about 27.6. Well, the Ford Explorer is 30,000 and up. So the local dealer can't afford to sell it to you at that price. That's why we have to get them off the state contract.
Well, I know in my discussions with some of the other police departments, they did take the gumption to go out and do some shopping, and they did find better prices. Actually, right down the street at our own Ford dealer, and another place called L&J. I don't know who they are, but yeah, I don't want to come up. I know you need the cars, and we want to get you the cars. There's just some questions, and this comes up with citizens asking me why we buy with a champagne taste when we should kind of be a little more frugal. This vehicle we're looking at to purchase here is a 4-wheel drive. It's a V6. Most of the other police cars are using a 2.7 EcoBoost, 200 horsepower. In a town 3 miles square, I think that's enough to get the job done.
The EcoBoost is a 6-cylinder.
Yeah, this is not we're not getting the EcoBoost on this one.
Pardon?
We're not getting the EcoBoost on it. These are just a regular 6-cylinder.
That's what I mean. It's a 6-cylinder, which is over.
Not the EcoBoost.
This is actually cheaper to buy.
Yeah.
The EcoBoost than it is to buy the V6. And then you have the additional light packages and the grills and all the other things that are all these add-ons. And I was just saying there's some money to be saved here. I don't think we need to buy the Cadillac.
And what
I
is?
want to get you a decent car. I want you to get and I wouldn't tell Nora Pransky to buy a Dodge.
Well, I might.
I would.
If you want to go down the list, I'd be glad to go down the list and explain what these are.
I saw a block
Be-
heater in here.
There's
Do
no
we have a
block, we don't have a
diesel?
block heater in there.
Or was it somewhere? I
It's
just-
on the state contract, that's an option, but we don't have a block heater in there. There's no need for, there's no need
Why
for a
would
block.
you eat it?
We don't need a block.
We don't
heater.
have it.
It's not on
I
it.
just read it a while ago.
We could go down the
Didn't
quote
go
from the
on.
Ford deal, and I'll explain what each one of those are.
Did we, Aaron, you remember off the top of your head what our round trip out of city mileage is for the officers?
For the take-home vehicles,
Yeah.
it's 25 miles line of sight, or as the crow,
25 miles.
line of sight, or as the crow flies. Straight, not
I'm
going
talking
around the
about for the
curves.
year, not 25 miles. How much do we
It
spend?
equates approximately to $7,500 approximately, the cost, if that's what
Cost.
you're looking at.
That's
For
cost.
take-home vehicles, approximately, as I
For
recall.
gas.
That's the cost of, yes, as I recall. You had prepared a sheet for me, I think the annual cost was approximately $7,000 and change for take-home vehicles. Now, again, the issue that you're discussing has to do with PBA contract also. So we can't mix apples and orange here.
I understand that, but I'm saying, Nancy's saying, why do they go out of, we have so many repairs and how, well, because we're throwing an extra 7,000 miles on every vehicle. I can't remember it, I thought I kept it, that you ran us.
Yeah.
One officer had an 84-mile round trip. Remember that? Okay.
The only thing I want to say there is that we've gone down this road for all
Yeah.
the 10 years I've been here, over and over and over, about whether or not they should take the cars home or not. And I'm going to just say, these guys aren't paid very much money, and, you know, they're taking their lives, and they could get killed any day of the week, and, you know, God love them, give them something.
The average
get
miles,
killed any day of the week,
the average
too.
Well,
mile.
I know, but I'm not in that position, you
I
know.
have the sheet that you prepared, Aaron. The average miles is 21.3, and the average cost is $7,766 a year. Sure.
What do they
This
call
is
it?
mine,
Pound-
same thing.
Penny wise and pound foolish?
Yes, sir, ma'am.
I don't know what that.
You had prepared this some time ago, but this is the name of the individual officer, his address, what was the miles to and from, what the cost is, the average cost per gallon at that time was $2.23, but who knows what the gas price is tomorrow morning. At any rate, the total cost, and again, there are other negotiations involved in here, is approximately $7,700.
Now, do
Plus
they use, they don't use the,
expenses related to that extra
Correct,
mileage.
correct. But even so, it is a condition that Ms. Britton has spoken to.
and they have to they take it to the house and then back to work, and they can't drive it for
No.
anything else.
No, they
Not
can't.
only that, but
How many times have we checked?
but they are responsible for whatever is in that vehicle. If they have to use their own personal vehicle and then come back and change to another vehicle, their driving vehicle, that vehicle must be fully inspected to ensure that there's nothing in that vehicle. Because if they go out and make an arrest, somebody says, well, there's cocaine back, well, what do I know about it? They care, custody, and control. That's part and parcel of the philosophy for every community that allows take-home vehicles.
And also, there was an issue with the time it took to get all the equipment put in.
You go
Well, we
directly
talked
from
about-
point A to point B, which is the call if necessary. It's the same with a fire department. You go from point A to point B. You don't go from point A to wherever the vehicle's stored, then to point B. That has to do with your call time, the response time.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's in the police contract.
And it's in the PBA contract.
That's the
Well, and
gotcha.
that can be renegotiated.
I believe it
Chief,
is.
do you
Is it?
feel like there's any way you can save money on these contracts? Or that you did the best job you could?
I believe we did. I mean, I know that we brought the vehicle price up by $4,000, but that's the maintenance package to avoid $16,000 over the life of the car. If we take that out, we can take that out, but now you're gonna be wide open for, with these contracts that I've written in, we won't pay for anything but tires. The brakes will be covered, the oil changes are covered, the timing, I mean, the belts, everything is covered. So if we take out 4,000 to spend 60, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, we don't know that we're gonna spend
We don't know that,
$16,000.
no. We don't know that.
On a different vehicle.
Could
We
be,
don't
it
know
could be a
that.
lot less.
You're
But the-
taking a gamble, you're saying.
We are, sure.
Yeah.
The Dodges have been extreme. We've replaced every front end in every one of these Dodges at the price of $1,500.
7 shifts every 2 weeks.
A motor for $3,000.
7
Yeah.
shifts every 2 weeks.
And we won't do that with
10
this,
weeks,
if we buy these vehicles with the
Jason Kaplan. Yeah.
maintenance program
7 shifts
written
every
in,
2 weeks.
we could replace the motor
Every
3 or
2
4
weeks.
times, it won't cost us a thing.
Yeah.
Well, if you
Plus
feel like
reserve.
you've done the best job you can, I'm gonna motion to approve.
I'll second.
I'll second, but I'll also say, is this going to condense our problems with maintenance? We're gonna be taking our cars to one place, not 15 other places?
Yes, it'll have to go back to Ford. I've already let Ford of Port Richey know that when we get these cars, that they will be the point of service. It will go back to Ford for everything.
So Ford will have record of their
Yes,
repairs? We will
correct.
have record of their repairs? We will know when a car is
Right.
bad and when we get a lemon or whatever the
Sure.
case may be?
And-
So essentially, we have kind of extended out and got a utility maintenance place for at least 2 of our cars.
At least 2, right. And they've
So-
been meeting our prices on, why we've gone to so many places, and I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you, is to try to get the best price. You know, who has the best oil change, who has the best, and that's why we've gone to a couple different places. Right now, we're using the dealers for some of the repairs, and George's for the tires, the brakes, and the oil changes.
Okay, so it's going to even cut down our possibility that some mechanic is gonna say we need something that we really don't
Correct.
need.
Correct.
So-
Absolutely.
It's gonna make it better, we're gonna have more honesty
Yes.
from the mechanics, and
Mhm.
we're gonna have better records.
And the other thing too is that, you know, be prepared next time to justify that $4,000. You know, keep notes, very good notes about, you know, what was spent on each car, because then if it works out in your favor, council's gonna wanna know,
Right.
you know, how and why and.
Sure, and we have it, like I said, the extreme car that we have is $16,000 in repairs. That's more than half the price for a new one.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Motion and second,
Just
Well,
need a
I-
consensus, right?
We need
We
to
have a
vote.
motion and a second. You
already
wanna,
have a second.
okay.
You want to go out to the public?
Anyone to talk to this, please? Matt first. I say, take this
5113
average
Mallet
cost.
Drive, Matthew Todd. I think we need the cars. We gotta protect our patrolmen. The thing is where I think we need to offset the cost. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I appreciate what you guys do. But the thing is, you're going about the auction part all wrong. Because the thing is, the administration costs and all that there, guys, I'm sorry. I got a great deal of respect for you. Something I do know about is I have multiple pieces of equipment on different job sites. When I sell pieces of equipment, I call 10 different auction houses and I say, I got this, I got this, I got this. They absorb the cost. The auction house comes out, auctions it right at the site. They take care of notifying, doing the ads and everything. And what they do is to keep you from getting less money and getting more. They absorb the cost on the buyer's end because the buyer pays a buyer's premium. So what you have is a buyer's premium auction. You don't have transportation costs to transport the car from point A to point B to sell it and then deal with all the administration costs because the auction house handles all the administration costs. That's all I wanted to say. Thanks.
Thank you. I've been yelling that for quite some time now. And then the police, the union contract is up for renegotiation?
Negotiating now.
We are in the process of negotiating.
Well, you guys keep telling me they have to take the cars home because they'd have to do all this stuff. Why don't we, when we're in these negotiations, say, look, your average, we'll take the average off each, you pay for your average. and drive it.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor, as a point of order, if you want to discuss negotiation with the union, you should call for a shade meeting. A
meeting.
special meeting would be actually a union meeting.
Okay.
It's a
We're
little
gonna
hard for
have
me
that
to
eventually
negotiate
anyway,
with
right?
them watching the.
Hey, guys, I really like
So
it.
if you want to call for one, then speak to the city manager.
Okay. All right, Joel.
Joel Smith, 7335 Candlelight Court, council member and mayor. Mayor, I'd like to address what you're talking about, the impound vehicles. As a former owner of an auto repair shop in Houston, Texas for 6 years, the idea of trying to recover the money from the impound is not it's okay as long as everything goes perfectly. The first time you have to deal with an owner of a vehicle with multiple owners, or the previous owner didn't change the title, it gets so complicated and so expensive, it's not worth it. I think to get it out of the responsibility of the city and get it to the auction, that takes that out. It also takes out, I believe, the previous problem you had with FDLE, that can't happen anymore. If somebody wants to go over there to the auction, with a city employee or, you know, whoever wants to go to the auction and bid on it, then there's no conflict of interest. I suggest just not thinking about, you know, how much we can make off each one car. Get them out of the way. I think in the long run, you'll find out that that's probably the best thing to do.
That may be true, and I appreciate your opinion.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Anyone else want to speak to this? Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay. Just let's get finish this thing.
Okay,
I'm ready to finish, Vince. You've worn me out.
thank you. I'm trying my best.
Okay, this one, I'm not giving up.
All right.
Purchase of utility modular office.
Okay, if I may, Mayor and
Purchasing
Council.
a trailer for $100,000.
Not a trailer, no, sir. For council consideration is the purchase of a Public Works Utilities Department modular office. The current structure that we have is a 1990 commercial modular office that the city purchased in 2006. So it started off 16 years old when they dragged it from the woods and brought it here. The current structure is in a severe state of disrepair and has been condemned by the building department since late 2017. The city solicited bids to purchase a new facility and received the following 3 bids. But before we go there, Mr. Hughes, if you would just kindly give council an idea of what's going on in that facility.
You should
There's
just
open
take 'em for a
holes.
tour.
A tour would be very
Chris,
effective.
Chris.
There are open holes in the trailer floor that cannot be repaired.
Nothing cannot be
Open holes,
repaired.
open holes. There's bare wires, all, the currents are gone. There is enumerated problems with this,
Look, you know, this
Mr.
cost-
Lupo,
sir,
I will
$2.
claim no contest that you need to have a new facility.
okay?
I'm not even gonna argue the point. You do.
What I would like
That's
to
a lot of
argue
money.
is,
But,
Okay, correct.
$94,000 for a trailer?
that's it. And we own the
Have
land, I
any of
believe.
us
Mr.
looked into what it would cost to build a building that's something that we could maintain and would have sustenance to last us more than 10 years?
Like just,
$250,000 for a 1,000 square foot building.
for how many?
$250,000.
Now, what
How
do
many
we
square
actually
feet
do
is
in this building?
This,
How many square feet?
Chris, would you pick up and start
That much I
talking?
know. I've looked into it.
How many square feet is it, Bill?
The current building is 2,130 square feet. The new one that was bidded is 1,848 square feet. So it's It's a little small.
And we couldn't build, do we get a discount
You
on
can't come close.
permitting?
Let me back up. First of all, there's no tours. This building has been condemned.
Huh?
We can't go on tours this building, so. But secondly, no,
can't
sir, you
build a
can't, you
house
cannot
for
come close to that
$128,000.
construction.
Huh?
Sorry, I apologize.
I'm sorry.
Cannot come close to that construction, stick-built, if you will, for this price. I personally do not like modular homes nor trailers, but you can't beat them.
What do you think it is a square foot to build? Stick,
Probably $85, $95 a square foot, maybe $100, depending upon what you do with it, what the electricity is in it. So yeah, it's
let me
stunning.
build it, it'll be cheaper than that.
What about getting like, those like warehouses? They have these warehouses. Have we looked
We
at
had,
that?
buildings?
yes.
And pole
the
barns and-
Essentially Quonset huts,
But
what
the
they used to
problem-
call Quonset huts, if you can remember that term.
Well, let me address the problem with them is you're absolutely correct, but those are just a package. Then you have to put the plumbing, the electricity, the air conditioning, the
Foundation.
insulation, everything else in it too. See, so it's a relative thing. It's just hard to beat.
Okay, then my next suggestion is isn't there one in the mobile parks around here that we could, go ahead and start over with?
Good point. I don't know.
We'll be right back where we started.
Right back
Yeah,
where we
yeah.
started.
This is just not just simply a trailer per se. It has everything in it necessary for the public works and utilities people to utilize. That's where they meet. That's where they have their equipment. They can purchase equipment from the machines that we have. That's where they do their timekeeping. That's where they have their computer operations. We don't have a facility here. We don't have the room here in the building. Right now, they are, in that cold weather, we're assembling outside in the metal shack building that we have. You know, we're talking about people who are working in mud, who are working in other material less favorable when they're changing out pumps somewhere. They have to come and take a shower and get cleaned. I mean, there are issues with respect to this facility. We have labored long and hard to try and find something that is within the range of this community. And this is a truly bare bones structure. We budgeted it. This is a budgeted item that we had. We came to council and that budget was approved, but that's not the issue. The issue is, this is about the most reasonable structure that we have gone out and found after a lot of hard searching. And this was not just done overnight, obviously. And it's the best that we can do, and we're talking about $94,095. Built, delivered and installed.
Are we paying cash for it?
Pardon me?
Are we paying cash?
Everything that the city does is cash, ma'am. You just write a check. We budgeted for it.
Just checking, you know, so that we're not gonna have any more bonding and.
We're not bonding, we're not going out for bonding for this issue, no ma'am. It is my intention to build up a serious cash reserve for this community. Something that we had back in '04, a serious cash reserve that allows this council the opportunity to not only reduce utility taxes rates, but also taxes in general. But that's a future discussion. So, no ma'am, no going out for bonding. We're not gonna build the Taj Mahal back there. It's a basic structure,
Well,
as
if we
basic
approve-
as it can be.
If we approve this, we should probably throw in a catered lunch.
I'm with you.
You know, just because it would just be a new thing, it would be new to
We-
them. you
We'll
know.
certainly have a ribbon cutting.
Yeah.
All right,
I've been in that building,
it's bad.
and these guys really deserve more than that. And for another thing, we don't have shower facilities for these guys when they are out there digging and all that stuff. For them to have that and be able to go home semi-clean to their families, I think it's a great thing, you know, because
Well, if they wanna go work out or do something besides, you
Boy,
know,
we
now they
building
don't
a
have
gym
to.
now, huh?
Well, after work, after hours.
May I say something, Mayor?
Yes, sir.
One of my jobs in my previous life as an architect, when we had literally millions of people go through the buildings that we designed, was risk management. We had to look out for things, for anybody to trip and fall over or anything else, for lawsuits. You just approved $84,000 for your risk management for quarterly income for workman's comp. Doesn't that kind of put this in perspective? One lawsuit, and
Yeah, I know.
it's
These
out.
guys
Jim
can
will
fall
not
through the
lose.
floors.
That's right.
I mean, the
It's
floors
over.
are that bad in there, and
So
we've
my
got some
point
pretty
is-
good-sized
Well,
guys.
my point is this.
My point is 94,000 doesn't
No
appear
offense.
as
The average
much
price
now that-
per square foot in Port Richey is $94 per square foot.
Okay, well, that is,
Puts it at $170,000.
$94 a
For-
square
if-
foot for like a lifted property or
No,
just?
that's the average.
Oh, okay, so
I know we can,
do we not have to lift the property up?
No, it sits on a slab.
against FEMA law, is that?
Because of where it's located, yes,
It's
sir.
elevated, isn't it?
Okay, let me just say this. You guys do what you want.
It's elevated.
No, it is elevated, but it could be, it could sit on a slab.
Okay, all that aside, if we're gonna pay 94,000, that's the lowest bid, up to 132, for a trailer, double wide, why don't we
Modular
just,
home.
you guys get together, design something that is permanent, and build it, and we won't have to look at this again.
How long would that
Chris
take?
might say, we need a little cove here for me to,
For my crew to build that, I'd be retired.
I didn't ask them to build it, I said, design it, they'll build what you want.
How long would it
Get the
take for a
plans.
process to design, build a structure?
If
Let
we
alone the cost alone.
If we expedite it, you heard today in some of the meetings that we were in, we were talking June, July, just for drawings. We could certainly get a little faster than that, but still, you're talking the end of the year before we could get anything operational.
Well, I don't think that we're not in an emergency situation, are we?
Oh, yes,
Yes, we
we
are.
are. That building is
Yes, they
condemned.
are.
Absolutely.
Condemned it.
Yeah,
Well, I'm glad we got here.
they have
today.
nothing to work with, seriously.
All right, being that it's a condemned building and the fact that it's budgeted, motion to approve.
Second,
Ooh, there we go.
Anyone talk to that? Back here, all
we're
in
buying
favor?
a three-bedroom,
I wanna
two-bath
build the damn
house.
thing. All in
Seriously,
favor?
for $94,000.
Right.
It's a double wide trailer, it's gonna be gone again. If you build one, it's gonna be there for as long as we're gonna be
It
around.
is a modular home, and there's
It
a lot
is
different than
called
they
a
did.
trailer.
In
It is
1990.
not the trailer that you imagine.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
Okay. Double my nay. Okay, are we done?
With the regular meeting, sir, but we have a CRA
We have
meeting.
another meeting.
I've got it. All right, so this is it. Can you say that last word?
Motion to,
Just one quick thing before we close on this one. A week ago Saturday, I was invited down to Warner Boyce Salt Springs Park for an event, and I can't wait to get the hike and bike trail connected there. They have done outstanding work in the last year. They have boardwalks, they have bathrooms, they have elevated platform that you can see for miles. They have bird viewing stations. They have put a lot of time and effort into it. So I told them I would definitely give them a spot here. I just want people to realize it's in our backyard. Use it. It's $3 to park. You'll enjoy yourself. It's worth it. And let's get that hike and bike trail in there so people can enjoy it.
And thanks for your work on that. And I want to say to all employees, I love you, but just, I am working for these taxpayers out here.
Wait a minute, I still have old business.
Oh,
Oh,
Now granted, you all have done a fine job shutting me up on a lot of things, but I do have one or two things I still have to
Okay.
ask.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
had a resident email me in the last week that is asking about the dredging project,
Yes, ma'am.
and I noticed that the machinery is moved. Is it coming back?
No, ma'am. The equipment that was there was specific for the dredging of Channel 19. That was the first part of our project, the first part of our obligation under the Restore Act funds. That equipment was part and parcel of the bids that we went out for and that we paid for. We are now in the process of getting ready to go out and get the engineering and then to eventually bid for channels 1 and 18, which is the second part of the restore funding.
Of that one for this particular one.
Right, but for that specific project, that company is gone, it's done, equipment's been removed.
Okay, so that equipment is no longer needed, it's been moved, we're gonna bring in what we need for the second phase, which is
Correct.
1 and 18.
Correct.
And that's as far as I understand that we can go at this particular time?
Yes, ma'am. Given the current Restore Act funding, that is it. How much of 1 and 18 remains to be seen once the bidding process starts. How much it will cost to do 1 or 18, we'll probably do 1 first, and then 18. We'll be working on what's first, what's second, depending upon the bid packages. So the cost of doing that work will determine how much we can or cannot get done.
Okay.
Once that, I'm assuming that you're going further down the road. Once those projects are underway, in fact, not even once they begin, I'm already looking to find other funds to do additional dredging. In fact, we have an individual who will be coming to us very shortly who is a specialist in water grants. We'll be meeting with him.
Okay, so we're looking for the money to go forward
Correct.
with the rest of the canals and everything else.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The question that I was also asked is we have several areas in our system that have oyster beds problems, rocks down at San Pepple, this kind of thing, you know, that needs to be addressed. Is there any way we can do something small to help the residents now? Or can the residents use our DMMA site and provide their own?
There really are about 5 or 6 different issues that you're bringing to the table. First of all, with respect to the DMMA site, if dredging is to occur in our community, and it happens to be private dredging that is lawful, we can certainly work with that individual or group to work out some kind of arrangements with respect to utilization of the DMMA site.
Okay.
Because that is an authorized site.
So if these private citizens that would want to dredge their canal or something like that, they'd have to go through a permitting process and everything else
They would
outside of what we have?
They would indeed have to go through DEP and the Corps of Engineers and get their own dredging permit and go through all of the hoops that this community has gone to in order to get its permit. Now, the next question that that you have been asked was responded to the mayor some time ago with respect to utilization of the permit by outside entities, and their answers was very specific and very clear. And the answer is, if we wish to reassign our permit to an entity to do all of the work, that's one story. Of course, we would never do that. If we wish to parcel the permit out, so to speak, there would be an entirely separate process that would be very lengthy and time-consuming, and will probably go well beyond the timeline that we have with respect to our current permit. So that also makes it impossible. So if there are individuals who wish to form a group or whatever to come up with funding to do their own canal, if that's the direction that you're going in, they would have to come back to council, and we would have to try and find out what we could or could not do with respect to them simply funding a project. Simply funding a project. They would not control the project, they would not do the project, because in order to do that, they would be using our permit. So there are a whole series of legalities involved. It's not, unfortunately, not as simple as we would like that.
I can only search by topic for movies.
This is all. I can't understand what's it doing. Anyway, it's off, and it's off too. This is modern technology at its best.
That's a smartphone.
Yeah, it's a smartphone. Pretty dumb. So there are a lot of legal issues involved in that, but we'll work any way we can to facilitate dredging of canals in this community.
So if the private citizens on, say, one street wanted to get together and do their canal, then they'd have to come to the city, they'd have to go through the permitting process and everything else, just like we did?
It depends on exactly what they want to do, how much is involved. There are a lot of different issues.
I'm sure,
Yeah,
but if they
but
want to
they
do
would have
this,
to
they'd
come-
have to come to us.
Absolutely have to come to us, unless they attempt to go on their own to
Get a-
DEP and the Corps of Engineers, which,
Well, they could
which many,
secretly do
many
that.
individuals know that, the length of that.
If it's 17 years or so, they can get one.
Could they raise the money on their own and give that to the city, asking them to be the next canal to be done if they were funding it?
We have discussed that as a board.
That is a possibility. It could get pretty complicated,
just
yes,
yeah,
but it is a
general plan.
possibility.
And I'm just gonna say this, for whoever you talk to. They can look at our permits, that's public record.
Sure it is.
Ask them to bid as if they're dredging for you instead of dredging for the city, because we always get the extra 100%. And if the citizens are paying a part of that and speak directly to the dredgers, you'll get a lot better deal. And by the way, there is an engine block heater I left for you in case y'all need them. Well, I surely don't want you to go without.
Well, in the meantime, during all of this, across the city, is there anything we could do for some of these oyster beds or the rocks or anything? We can't do anything until we get to the actual dredging?
If we can come up with some miraculous funding and it is in the permitted area, then we can do something separate and aside from the Restore Act funds. But that's independent action by this
So the
council.
miraculous funding could be individuals on that street.
Exactly.
There you go.
There you go. But
Sure could.
let me just say this. There is a real problem on Quest, and
No, that's. no,
Quest knows it.
Quest is just
This
one of
we can
many.
go do, and
There's
I've
there's
been
one,
told by.
there's one
Look at my
on
backyard.
many different community streets. And one of the biggest problems this council may have to deal with in the near future is, where does this community go after 1 and 18 and 26? Where does it go? Channel 8, Channel 10, Channel 12, Channel 15? It's a discussion that will be coming back to this city and this council, and I'm sure will involve quite a bit of soul searching and discussion.
Well, I want to ask you a question real quick. I'm sorry.
I will get back to this person and let them know what the decision is. That was a
And if
big
they-
concern to me.
And ma'am, if they have any questions, they certainly can call me. I'll be more than happy to talk
I'm
with
more than happy to pass the buck.
Well, I want to run this by my two detractors here, Mr. Lupo and Mr. Matthew. I've been told by the county that if we have a problem with drainage, which at Quist, there's no doubt. Well, I went there the other day, there is no drainage because the oyster beds
Yes.
are, until it gets
Right.
about that high, you can't get, it doesn't drain, period. That has to be at least as bad as a hole that can't be fixed in a floor.
Sure.
So go over there and do it, we'll ask forgiveness. Take about 3 hours.
No, it
bail
doesn't
you
work
out,
that
don't
way.
worry.
No, it doesn't quite work that way.
Well, that's what I was told at the county. They would ask forgiveness, not permission. And it damn sure it needs to be done.
Yes, sir, I
Yeah,
agree.
It needs to be done.
Are you done, Jenny?
I think that's it. Thank you very much.
There was an email we got, I believe about 2 weeks ago, maybe, concerned by one of our previous councilmen about the purchase of the copier and the AC that we bought.
Oh, true.
And we were going to give them an explanation at this meeting. Do we have that prepared?
I don't,
He questioned how we went about the purchase of our copier and our AC.
The Genius BC or whoever that individual is.
Bell C.
CB or BC, the
DLC.
genius who goes on the internet, has questioned the cost of the copier.
It was the bidding process,
the
I
bid-
think.
It was the bidding process.
Bidding process, we followed all of the bidding processes, we followed the law, period.
Did we piggyback that one? How did we go about arriving at those people that we purchased those things from, is what the question was.
We just priced it on the internet. we contacted a couple of companies and looked for prices, but it was underneath the bid price. We don't have to go to bid until it's 25,000.
As long as he gets his answer, I want to make sure he gets his answer on that.
It was 17.9. The unit was 17.9 or something like that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, Ms. Britton went through that.
Well, at least we have a building official that can use it, so let's,
And it was under
I
25.
think his concern was that we had gone outside of what was proper code or proper procedure, greater
No.
than a certain amount of money. I didn't think we had done
No,
that.
no, absolutely not. Anything that we do follows a strict set of rules and regulations to the dismay of some individuals. But we
Yes.
follow, we don't ask for forgiveness because we don't make the mistake up front.
okay. I will
Motion to
accept
adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Five minute break.
Oh, it's like a 2 minute.
2 minutes.
Just do it.
Just knock it out and go
Yeah,
home.
Did she do that for you,
Do it,
Jim?
go.
You can make it.
All right,
You can
at
make
the
it
request
5 minutes.
of the ladies in the building.
Really, I mean, it is. It's
Okay, let's call the CRA agency regular meeting to order Tuesday, January 9th. Pledge of allegiance. Which one you want to do?
Right, right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All the employees are thanking me right
We
now.
are going to have a roll call.
Do you have enough time to transfer the tape?
It's done.
You can remember this. Roll call, Mrs. Anvil.
Chairman
Here.
Dale Massad.
Here.
Vice Chairman Terrence Rowe.
Here.
Member Nancy Britton.
Here.
Member Jenny Sorrell.
Here.
Member William Dittmer.
Here.
City Attorney James Matthew.
Here.
City Manager Vincent Lupo.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay. Motion to approve board minutes.
Motion to approve?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any announcements from the staff? Enjoy your double wide. Comments from the general public? No? Okay. Board? Comments? Agenda, consent agenda. 109,150, we've already voted on this, right?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to approve, I need a motion for the consent agenda.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Aye.
Second.
By God, Nancy, we're finally right.